Okay, is the lighting good? Maybe? I don't know. Let's... Can you see my beautiful, disorganized, unorganized bookshelf? There's books and everything in between. These are presents, these are perfumes, these are candles and photographs. A little update, merely to show off my makeup that you can't really see, but it's sparkly and it's copper and it's, you know, red with eyeliner. Eyeliner is a challenge when it comes to makeup for me. I am in the middle of my painting for my grandma. Not really the best, but this is just the first layer. And I've started this beautiful pink book that is the same without the dust jacket. This is without. It's pink. It's so pink. Some thoughts. I am very much enjoying it. It's a very silly book. It's very comedic. They're called here in Italy romanzi rosa, so like pink novels, because the line, like the collection of books that were like romance contemporary, were all printed in with pink covers once upon a time. The same was with crime books. They're called yellow books because the collection was yellow. This is everything I needed in this time of they're calling it social distancing for people who are not like tested positive, but we have to stay at home. We just call it quarantine. Siamo in quarantena. I'm in the city that invented the quarantine. Quarantena, Venice is the place that invented it. So, you know, let's just hope for the best. And this is very funny, it's very comedic, very lighthearted, and it goes on like this. I read like 15 pages in 5 minutes because it was so quick. So perfect read. I am very glad I bought it before the libraries closed, because I don't really enjoy reading on my ebook. There are some days in which I'm in the mood to do so, but not many times. I prefer physical books. I don't have to like buy them. I can just go to the library, but libraries don't really have like new releases here except for like modern classics, so you won't find something like this in one of our libraries because they are bound to universities, so you know, they're mostly for university books that you can consult. And also libraries are also closed, so not only bookshops but also libraries, everything is closed. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to put on the second layer to my painting, then maybe read some of this, and then publish the second part to my blog because this is the third, I believe. Yes, 3, not 6. Yes, 3. Thank you, Alice. Ciao. Oh, okay. Am I in frame? Kind of, not really. Ooh, yes, better. So it's currently 12:18 because I had my 8:30 and 10:30 classes, and I've just finished them. I'm waiting for my juridic notions classes to start, And in the meantime, I've read, I've cheated on my TBR a little bit because I've read a spin-off, an alternate universe of Alice Oseman, Heartstopper. It was the same like main characters transported in the universe of the game Detroit Become Human, which is one of my favorite games ever. I love Connor so much. His storyline is the best. I adore like pure cinnamon rolls characters. I adore them. So it was super enjoyable. I'm going to insert the cover that she drew right here because it's a graphic novel, and I'm going to put the link down there because it's free to read. It's just like a silly comic that she drew. But Heartstopper, if you don't know, it's a very cute comic that Alice Oseman is writing. I've read all 3 volumes. I've ordered them, and they fortunately arrived before the coronavirus started, or like hit here in Italy. So I'll be waiting for volume 4. Other than that, I've read a little more of Ci vediamo domani se non piove, so my Italian book, and I have it in the other room and I don't really want to get up. It's very comical. The main character is very dramatic. She, as I said, runs this art gallery, but the artist that her boss chose to represent only draws like decaying dead animals that nobody wants in their home. So she's like, oh, but this represents the inner turmoil of the artist, to try to sell anything, but she can't. So it's very comedic. It's not like you would expect from this kind of book that it's like silly, to be written not that great, but the writing is actually pretty much okay. It's nothing like the greatest, but it's doing its job. It's not cringy in any way, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay, I'm going to have my juridic notions class, and then I believe my mother brought something home from the grocery store, like a very big flower pot. So maybe we're going to decorate that. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. We will decide, but I will update you later. Okay, hello. So I've been not cheating, but I've been neglecting my Italian book, Ci vediamo domani se non piove, because I discovered that Script is offering a 30-day trial, free to use, of all their books, audiobooks and stuff like that, everything that is on Script, without you having to put in a credit card for the coronavirus time period. So I discovered that they have the audiobook for A Pinch of Magic, which is the host choices. So I started listening to that, and the narrator is lovely. It's very much, well, I listened to roughly 45 minutes, kind of like that, 2 chapters and the introduction, and it's 8 hours, I believe. So I count on finishing before the end of the readathon, and on the side I will be reading the other book. So that is kind of nice, because I have now so many other audiobooks and books that I can read on script. Other than that, I had something to talk. Oh yeah, I will probably now be doing my daily exercises because if I can't go swimming, or I don't really like going to the gym. I don't think it's fun, but it's my personal preference. I don't like exercising alone. So I'm going to do some yoga and some like push-ups and crunches on my room. I'm going to use this little book. It's called A lezione di yoga, so 2 yoga lessons, which was my grandma's book. She used to go to yoga when she could. She loved it, and she passed on to me this book that her teacher wrote. So Patrizia Valle was her teacher. It's full of like the history of yoga, so it's a full-fledged novel, like a non-fiction novel about yoga. Very interesting. It has all the poses, all the pictures, kind of, you can see. Because I've been, sitting a lot, not really going for walks because we can't really do that. I can walk my dog, but it's only like 5 minutes, and my muscles are really sore and scrunched up. So, yeah. Are we good? Yes, kind of. I've been, well, good morning, even though it's basically 12. I've been listening to the audiobook for A Pinch of Magic in between my classes, and it's been a delight. The narrator has a beautiful British accent that just enhances the, like eeriness and magicalness. Is that a word? Magicalness? Magicness? Well, the overall feel of the story, which is written very beautifully. Like, it's written like a fairy tale would be, like Grimm's fairy tale. It reminds me of that, but with a kind of modern twist. The protagonist and her sister work in an inn. They serve, well, the oldest serves beer with their grandmother, and they just left a prison. They were there to, talk to an inmate, and their father is also a prisoner in this prison because he did some, shady stuff, and there is a curse that prevents them from ever going outside their town, and they're each given a magical object that her grandmother calls like a pinch of magic. Those are everyday objects with a pinch of magic, which is kind of cool. So the protagonist gets a set of, like, they're called, I call them matryoshka, the matryoshke. They're the dolls that are like one into another, and it's like the big one has a less big one inside, and a less big one inside, and a less big one inside. And if you like put one strand of your hair or like one of your jewelry possession, etc., and you twist them so you become invisible, which is, super cool. And the oldest gets a mirror that lets her talk to people on other places, and the youngest one gets even though she can't use it yet. A bag that can let her travel to any places she wants. But if they ever set foot outside their town, they are going to die. So classical fairy tale stuff with the curse. But I'm very interested because the protagonist is very adventurous and she wants to break the curse, of course. And so the story is pretty interesting. The writing I love, so I'm hoping for a great plot also. Hiya! Oops. Good morning, everyone. It's the last day of the Animal Crossing readathon, and it's the day the Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out. And yes, it comes out. Yes, my copy is arriving today. No, it does not come. It doesn't come. It will not come in this house because I'm at my mom's house right now, and it will come to my house, and I can't go to retrieve it until next week, which is fine. But anyway, as you can see, I've got some kind of crazy makeup right now because the one that I did inspired by Genji didn't really like. I didn't really like it, so I did one inspired by Ketchup, a little duckling. I will insert it right here, mysterious, which is, I prefer it. It's kind of cool, kind of weird. Other than that, this morning before my online classes, I finished the audiobook for A Pinch of Magic, and I am kind of disappointed. The first half of the book was so magical and whimsical, and then it all got resolved like that. It felt like it was the skeleton of a story and there was no meat to it. It's called A Pinch of Magic, but it's not very magical. Yes, it talks about like magical objects and witches, like witches. There's a girl that can do magic, but other than that, it's not very magical. The writing was fantastic. I love the writing so much. So if the author has other books that she has published, I will definitely read them. But I'm kind of disappointed. I wanted to love it so much because I was enjoying myself, and then nah. So right now I have to finish. I have it. Ci vediamo domani se non piove. I think I will manage to finish it. If not, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself because this is a very quick book. You can do it, Alice. I see you. So, have I been reading? Not really, but have I finished the last trial on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney? Yes! Am I happy? Very! Okay, this is as much light as I'm gonna get, I think, today because it's very overcast. So I finished my last book yesterday night at exactly 11:25 p.m. So it's time for a wrap-up. The first book, Become You. This was probably my favorite read out of this readathon. 5 stars, of course. I don't really like reviewing or like talking about mangas volume per volume because I think it's like reviewing the first chapter of a book. I like reviewing the whole story or a whole arc, but usually in shoujo mangas there's only 1 or 2 especially if it's a short series, which I believe this one is. But if every other volume is like this, then I will definitely still rate it 5 stars. I recommend this to everybody who is an artist or creative people, because this put into words what I was thinking for a long time, since I am kind of an artist, I'm a musician. Especially if you're a musician, this will be right up your alley. The second book, Umami, this was a conflicting book for me. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars because the writing was so beautiful and it talked about grief in a very delicate way. But the various chapters that follow various, characters in the story felt kind of disconnected one from the other, and one was prevalent and it was not the one that I was expecting, and I didn't really like that. And there was a chapter that made me really uncomfortable, young girls talking about sexual stuff. Other than that, I kind of liked it. I will definitely read other books from this author because I really enjoyed the writing. Also, this was my very first book that talked about Mexican heritage, so very interesting. The third book is Ghost of the Shadow Market. This was okay. Novellas are not my favorite. I don't really like short stories, like a book containing multiple short stories. I don't really like that, and neither novellas. So it was okay. I liked the characters. The one thing I noticed is that this installment has a different translator from the series, the Shadowhunter series, and I find that this writing, I'm not sure if it's the translator or the fact that this is Cassandra Clare with other authors, but I don't really like Cassandra Clare's writing. I think it's kind of cringeworthy at times and confusing, and sometimes too long, sometimes too short. I really enjoy her stories, that's why I continue to read them. I really like her characters, that's why I'm going to purchase as soon as I can Chain of Gold, because I really want to read about those characters. But I am kind of scared because I don't want the writing to be awful. This was okay though, 4 out of 5 stars, because the first ones were very good, the first novellas, and the last ones I didn't really enjoy, so it balances out at 4 stars. The fourth book I read was A Pinch of Magic. I'm going to scoot so you can see the cover while I talk. This was disappointing. I listened it on audiobook. The narrator was fantastic. I listened it on script. The first part of the book was really engaging, was really whimsical, but as soon as they found an answer to their problem and they had to see it through, I got very bored. The writing did not save it for me, even though it was very fairy tale-esque. It felt, as I said previously in my video, like a skeleton with no meat, because it felt rushed. That's what it was. So I'm kind of disappointed. But just like Umami, I'm going to definitely look into other books by this author, because the writing was, very much like a fairy tale. So very, not purple writing, not like flowery, but like very elegant. And then the very last book. Now, this is a theme in this readathon of me being disappointed, because I have tabs. These are all the tabs that point out the moments that made me laugh. Now, the beginning of the book, when the protagonist hasn't met her love interest and she goes on speed dates, was hilarious. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard. Then she meets her love interest, and he is a jerk. He's not only like a jerk in character, he does a thing I will never forgive anyone, because he messes with her job, and she works at a gallery, an art gallery, and it was so mean, so out of the blue. She didn't deserve it. And then the whole art gallery was forgotten in favor of tap dancing, because the protagonist's grandmother was a famous tap dancer, and she's super into Ginger Rogers. This was kind of, again, out of the blue. The first part was all about her art gallery and her meeting him, and then they go on tap dancing lessons together, and it's very contrived, and there are so many like coincidences of her meeting like people that knew her grandmother. She finding out stuff about her grandmother's relationship with her grandfather. It was so convenient that it took me out of the story, and the protagonist was hilarious, but again, too convenient. Also, the main love interest, he was such a jerk in the beginning of the book, and then it's not that you discover he becomes another person, someone that is like super sweet to her, and it's kind of like yes, there's some banter, and he like says a couple of jokes about her outfits and stuff, but he goes on full like cinnamon roll mode, and it's like two different people. So this was 3 stars. Disappointed, very, very disappointed. The first part where all these cheeky tubs are, I was laughing like out loud, and I never do that. It was hilarious, and then it went downhill. So this was not actually a good readathon for me. I don't know. I hope my next readathon, which is going to be the Owl Magical readathon, I'm going to post a TBR videos for that as soon as I can film it, and as soon as I decide like my TBR. I hope it will go better than that, because, you know, out of these and the audiobook, this was the only one that I really, really enjoyed. The Shadowhunters also, but not as much. And the other ones were disappointing in one way or another. So yeah, this was my wrap-up. It was very enjoyable participating in this readathon. So yeah, I think I will see you in my next video, and I hope you tune again to see my bookish endeavors. Bye!